My mama said to me before I shipped out for boot camp, son, make sure you always have protection with you. Hey everybody, Tim here, GraymanPOTA, amateur radio call sign November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Well, that's what my mom always said. Always make sure you have protection. And I'll leave that up to your imagination on what she said. But today, I want to talk about protecting our radios. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had released a video on the IC705, and I'll put a link to it up here so you guys can check it out if you haven't already seen it. But I made an investment in an IC705. Now, I reached out to the community, both in the video and also just on social media, to see what others were using. And what I want to do in this video, I've got some stuff, we're going to go through that, but this really isn't about that. What I want to talk about is protecting our investment. Now, POTA season's kicking back up for you guys that live down in the southern United States where you have much nicer weather. You're out year round. Up here, now that it's starting to warm up again, we're heading into spring, we're going to start spending a lot more time outdoors. And the reality is that things can get damaged. So I think it's worth a little extra money to invest into your equipment to be able to protect it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go over to the bench. Let's start working on getting the IC705 protected. Okay, so we're over here at the bench today. I've got my IC705 that we're just going to throw in right here. Always making sure that you've got some kind of investment or some kind of a protection on your radio. So as you can see, this isn't designed for an amateur radio, but it does store the Zygu X6100 in here. I've got some protective rails on there that provide some protection for the knobs and everything like that. I can store the power cables in here, and then up top I've got the microphone. So it's a way that I can just kind of take this whole thing, shove it in my backpack, and if I want to go a little bit further than the park bench, I have that ability. Also, as you guys know, I travel a bit with work. I fly, and when I fly, I'm going to be somewhere for 3, 4, 5 days. I'm going to probably have some downtime, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So a case like this is kind of nice that you can have, and then you can shove your radio into your bag, and then you don't have to worry about it. With the 705 though, I have not been able to find a case like that. I did put out on a video that I was looking for some options and to see what what you guys in the community are doing for protection on your 705. Now, a lot of people had mentioned POV, and it looks like a very nice system. I was having some hard time finding availability. The other one was the one from WinCamp, and you can find that on Amazon. And I'll put a link down below if that is something you're interested in. Actually, I'll put links to all this, although the one on Amazon will be most likely an affiliate link. This is the combination unit. It's got the RC2, I guess, which maybe there was an RC1, but it was kind of a kickstand that goes in the back that adapts this thing from a BNC to the UHF antenna. We'll leave that over there. I'm not necessarily concerned about that one right now. Parts and pieces, and it looks like this cage is relatively already put together, which is kind of nice. This is the cage. This has got a kickstand, looks like, and has our screw point. So it looks like it just screws into the bottom there. Everything is already put together. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, and obviously we make a huge investment into these radios, whether it's a 100-watt radio that you're using, working out of the back of your vehicle, going into a park, walking up to a shelter or something and doing it, or if you're throwing these things in a backpack, a QRP radio, and you're hiking off into the out into the woods. So our friend Shane, fellow YouTuber, this side of the radio, I'll put a link to his channel down below. A couple weeks ago on the Ham Radio Clubhouse, actually relayed a story of the time that his IC 7300 got pulled off his picnic table. I'll let Shane tell the story here.
Jason, why you got to bring that up? Okay. Jason says the great thing about the 7300s is they passed the drop test.
They passed the drop test.
So I will say I was out experimenting as a ham radio operator, and I took my radio in the field, and my coax was a little bit short, and my mast fell over, and it yanked my 7300 off my table, and it landed on the concrete.
And
I died a little bit. I did. Until I walked over there and I said, you know what? It's a 7300. I put it back on the table, put the power to it, and started making contacts.
So as you can see, it's not hard to damage our equipment while we're out in the field. So you always want to do is make sure you take the time to make sure it's well secured. One of the things that I've learned as a sound engineer and spending a lot of time on the stage is that cables are trip hazards, right? And so in Shane's particular case, the mast fell and it pulled this cable, but it's just as easy for somebody to trip over that coax that's out there inadvertently, and then next thing you know, you have $1,000 radio bouncing off the pavement. And there is that. The radio is secure. So as you can see here on the right hand side of the radio, you still got good access to all your ports for the USB micro, USB key. I have the card on order to swap that out here too soon. Got access to the input power, and here on the other side, easy access to the ground antenna, and then our microphone port, and then the SD card. So that is that. The other nice thing is that integrated kickstand in here that provides that at a little bit of elevation. So one of the things I was saying was that when you're out in the field, you got coax running, you're creating a trip hazard. Just kind of like Shane had described in his experience. And one of the couple things that I try to do is find a spot to secure my coax. Now, if you're working in a like a pavilion or something like that that's got a concrete floor, it's easy. You can get some gaffer's tape, duct tape. I wouldn't use duct tape. Gaffer's tape is probably the best type of tape to use because it doesn't leave a residue on your cables or anything like that. Short of that, try to make sure you run your cables in an area where people aren't going to be walking through. But if they are walking through, definitely tape them down. If you're out in the grass, you can do something like wrap your cable around the picnic table a couple times, the picnic table leg, and then plug it into your radio. So what happens is if somebody trips on the cable, they're tugging on the leg of the picnic table, not pulling your radio down. Same kind of thing. I work out of the back of the Bronco a lot, and so I will take and run my cable. If I'm using a mast, a pop-up mast or something like that, I'll run the cable around the drive-on base a couple times, around the bottom. And same thing, if they trip on the cable, it's pulling on the base. It's not pulling on my radio. One last thing, somebody mentioned this to me, and earlier I had talked about wanting some kind of a case very similar to what I have for the 6100 to put this in. I haven't found anything yet, but one of the guys mentioned a donkey cloth, and this is kind of a neat thing here. And I guess this is used in the camera world a lot to throw your, lenses, cameras, ones that you don't have bags for, to put it in, to then throw it in your backpack or your, purse if you're a female or something carrying a purse. But it's kind of like I don't know, a diaper, a burrito. I don't know what you want to call it, but because of its square size, and it's kind of a synthetic material on the inside. It's soft, and then on the other side is a kind of like this material. It's not as dense as like you have on the mouse pad, or in this particular case, the desktop reference map from Corky QRP. There will be a link to that down below. What is nice about this, obviously, whether it's a radio or it's a lens or a camera body or something like that, this gives the flexibility. This is a 19-inch one. I think this is the largest they make. They've got them in some smaller sizes too. So it's 19 inches square. So it's at least at 19 inches square. It's big enough to cover. That could probably be better to cover the 705 and provide it some extra protection in the bag. So hopefully you guys got some good information out of this. Once again, make sure you wrap or secure your cables somewhere because they are a trip hazard and you don't want to see your radio hit the floor. Once again, thank you, Shane, for sharing your story and allowing me to do that. Make sure you check out Shane's YouTube channel if you don't already follow him. This side of the radio, I'll put a link to that down below. If you have any questions, please put those down in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. And hopefully one day we'll catch you on the air. But until then, I have a video right over here that I think you might be interested in.